Look, I know that you feel alone and isolated in this. And the reason you're here on YouTube is because you're trying to see other people's experiences and find tips how to not let that fear hold you back in life. You can watch a lot of things and implement a lot of different physical tricks, but you know deep down that it's all about your own worldview and how you create this reality. The more you run from it, the more it will control you and hold you back, and the more it will control your life and all of your life areas. I don't know where it is more painful for you and where it brings more suffering. If you're like me, it affected each and every aspect of your life, your job, career, a romantic scene, friends, education, university, just all aspects of your life. And the thing about social anxiety is the more you accept it, the more it loses power. And I will explain. For example, when you are trying to push yourself and do the things that you're scared of in social situations, the more you try and hide it, and the more ashamed you are of it, and if somebody else notices it, you're even more ashamed. It comes down to small things. Being scared of your opinions, being scared of getting read. I have this thing with guys or people that I find attractive. I'm queer, so anyone really, but when you are too nice to someone or like curious and try to engage and ask questions, in your head you think that they think that maybe you're flirting, and that would really freak me out. And for some reason, even though flirting is a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing, but you have your own projections as what others think of you when you say something and when you do something. You really try to be the opposite as much as possible. For instance, I would try and be, not on purpose, but it's like this coping mechanism. If somebody that I find attractive, even a little bit, or interesting even, I would feel just not safe, and I would often be very cold with the person, and they would think that I just don't like them or hate them for something. But it's how I try to protect myself from them thinking that I might like them. It's insane, right? Because it's not even a bad thing to like someone. Or another example, because I would be scared so much that other people would see how scared I am of just engaging with people, of expressing my opinions, I would just be scared of people seeing that I'm socially anxious. I would try so hard to hide it by overcompensating and being just on a completely different end of the spectrum. And that's not who I am. And that's the whole issue and tragedy in that, is that I would want to attract people that are more like me, that I like. I'm an introvert. I can talk a lot, be loud, but I'm more on a quieter side. And because I would be so scared for people to judge me because of my anxiety, I would be this extrovert and I would speak more. I would try to comment on different things more, always put my word in even though it's not needed, just to, as if I wanted to prove that, look at me, I am okay, I am not scared, I am not anxious around you. I was always very envious in a good way and jealous in a good way of people who are maybe quiet, but they have this quiet confidence. They don't need to prove anything, and they are comfortable in being silent. They're comfortable in skipping some conversation or just being. And for me, whenever there's a silence, I feel like I used to. I feel like I need to control the situation and say something, even though it doesn't even... It's like you make everything about you, the spotlight effect, naturally, of course, and different people have different coping mechanisms. Some people just completely withdraw, right? And you can have any of these mechanisms, but you have to understand why exactly that happens and how does that work. So that's what I meant by power. The more you let go and try to see this whole experience as a learning experience, not like I have to go there and I have to just pretend that I'm okay. No, you have to have a mindset that you will go there and you will learn something. You're a student of life, and you have to understand that every time you go and do something scary, it's not about the outcome. I'm saying now that, and everybody will say that the more you practice, the better you'll become, but you don't have to expect that every time will be a bit better. Sometimes it will be better, sometimes you will draw back, but every time will be a learning experience. You will learn something small, you will learn something about yourself. Maybe it will be negative, but you will learn something. Once you adapt this mindset of learning, because that's all about life, the life is all about that, right? It's all there is, it's learning. That brings me to my next point. You think, your brain thinks that there is a threat, and you have to accept it and say, okay, there is a threat and something bad will happen, okay, but the more bad things happen, the more I fail, the more terrible I am at something, the faster I will get used to it. And I know it's incredibly scary because we all want to be good at something from the beginning, but it's not how things happen. When you go to try sport for the first time, you're gonna be bad at it. If you're learning a language at the beginning, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna be bad at it. So you have to really have the same mindset of the more I fail, the faster I will learn, and make it about learning, not about getting a good outcome. And you also have to understand, tied to the same point, that you have to get used to this new habit of accepting, not just within yourself, but vocalizing your acceptance of your experience. For example, I get red very easily, and I would think that this is the most embarrassing thing ever, not because of the act of getting red, and there's always something tied to it, right? I would think that people think, if I get red talking to them, that I find them attractive. Again, this attraction thing, it's such a weird thing, but once I started telling people that, oh, I feel like I'm getting red, just ignore me, that happens, or I'm just an anxious person, ignore me, or just making it like as a little joke and just putting it out there, because then it loses power. Then people cannot think, oh my goodness, she is so weird, even though nobody will think about it. If you see someone getting red, you don't judge them, you just think, maybe I said something wrong. People usually internalize everything and think something bad about themselves rather than about you. Not everyone, of course, there are like fucking assholes, but we don't even care about those, right? But once you owe it as something okay, it becomes okay. Which is another point, but I'm not finished with this one yet. It's the same about trying something new or going somewhere where you feel this is a high risk, high threat situation, that you're scared. Once you tell another person, oh, I was debating coming here or not because I was so anxious, but it's not that bad. You can even make a conversation out of it, or you train yourself regardless of the outcome, regardless of what a person gonna say, because most people will feel more connected to you, again, because you're showing them you're showing them your vulnerability, and that means they see that you trust them and they will want more to connect with you most of the time. Some people will look at you as like a weirdo, and of course we fear that, but it just means that that person is not mature enough, or not just has bad emotional intelligence. You know, if somebody opens up to you about something, if you judge them, like, what kind of person are you, right? Again, we don't care about those. And it's not like hate, it's just you have to think with compassion that, oh, that person is not there yet. It's fine. And yeah, once you vocalize it to other people, it loses its power. And the more you will say that, the faster you will accept that within you as well, and you will stop fearing it as much, and you will be a bit more comfortable with your own energy. You don't need to overcompensate, you don't need to hide. Like, yes, I am very anxious in this setting, and that's okay. I'm just gonna sit in this, and that's who I am. It doesn't make me a bad person. I owe it. So, and the next point, once you are okay openly with something that you do, some kind of fails that you do, other people also perceive it as okay. It's crazy, but that's how universe works. It's just you make your own rules. What happens often, what used to happen with me often, and still does sometimes, depending on where I am mentally, cycle, and all kinds of things, is that being scared of your opinions not being received, misunderstood maybe, or being judged. Like, I remember often in social settings, I would want to say something, and deep down I know that this is true for me, because there is no universal true, right? It's just all our opinions, but I would be already ready to experience some kind of judgment, or think that people will laugh at me, and it all happens not logically, because logically you understand that it's okay, we all have opinions, but deep down, like in your body, I would be so scared to voice my opinion that I would, when I would say it, I would say it somehow quiet, or in a way where it has this intonation. It depends always, right, how we speak. It's not about what you say, it's how you say it. I would always say it in a way that you would feel that I'm not sure myself, or I would say something and I would say I don't know at the end, or I would add laughter at the end. Like, often laughing a lot is a sign that you're not comfortable or unsafe or insecure in what you're saying, and ultimately what you need, what we seek with that is other people's approval, right? Which is miserable, quite sad, but it's just true with social anxiety, because you constantly feel threatened and unsafe when you say something and you kinda not sure, like always tiptoeing, and when it received well, then you kind of relaxed a bit more. But why? What happens if it's not received well? Why cannot you just be and have your opinions and stick to them regardless of other people's approval? We need to train to approve ourselves, and what I wanted to say with that is this: whatever you say, even if it's the most stupid, unreasonable thing, you have to say it as if you truly believe in it. It will make you feel more comfortable in your own skin and just communicating with people, being surrounded by people, because you have to be ready that you have to have this mindset that I'm gonna say it now, not trying to impress someone or seek approval, but as a practice. when you have this intense pain in your life as social anxiety, this obstacle, you really have to shift your mindset in the direction of everything is experience, learning, and getting better at managing it. Because if you see it as something that, you know, you'll never be able to overcome, or being jealous of people who don't have it, or thinking that some options are now excluded from your reach, no, it's not about that. Maybe some things will take longer for you to achieve. Maybe, like me, you won't go back studying, but studying was like a horror movie, like a nightmare for you, and you also had panic attacks, couldn't do teamwork or group work, skipped so much of uni, I don't know, lost your hair, had psychosomatic, I don't know if that's what it's called, symptoms, like I started to have eczema in different parts of my body just because it was so much inside of me that it started to come out. You did all kinds of crazy things that you cannot even explain, but just driven by fear. And it's hard to think about that you want to come back, but I want to learn. So I can say that, yeah, it's not for me, which I did at the beginning because I changed uni to open uni, where you study online completely on your own, which is amazing that it exists because different people learn differently, and this is also valid if you cannot manage it, because we cannot punish ourselves from not being able to overcome something. It really takes time. And now as well, I'm still thinking, am I ready yet to go now? I know that I will, but I have to get ready. I have to really learn how to navigate it through exposure to different smaller things. Another thing that I wanted to share, what worked for me, is, I'm sure you've heard about it, maybe not. There is this thing that is called habituation graph. Exposure therapy, basically, CBT, I think it's called. But the point of this is, and the whole concept is that we have this intense fear of something that we are perceiving as threat, that we're scared of, some kind of situation. And as shown on the graph, before the event, which is at the top, we have this escalation of fear, panic, anxiety, all of these negative thoughts, all of these things that paralyze our mind and take control of it and try to protect us, prevent us from that, because it's a threat. We perceive it as a threat, and we say to ourselves, we're not able to do it, we cannot do it. Some people, they will not even try. If you are brave, if you are trying to work on it, and you will try and go to that thing, often what happens, just before you are there, the anticipation and pain is so high. Most people, often, just before the main event, they opt out, they bail, they cannot do it, right? Because you think that it continues, this pain will continue or even go higher, or something horrible will happen. And what actually happens, you reach this peak and you think that that's it, but then you actually realize that there is no threat and that you are safe. And this is the lesson of the whole social anxiety thing. We have to find this safety within us, within our body, within our mind, soul. You realize that it's safe. Maybe it's not perfect, maybe it's not gonna go amazing, not gonna have a super happy ending, but the main part, again, coming back to learning, you experience this like, I'm okay, I've survived, I'm alive, nothing horrible happened. Yeah, maybe I got red, maybe I said something stupid, maybe I've got some weird glances, but again, Just because our mind is so focused on a bad result, on people are judging us or things gonna go bad, that's only the thing we're gonna see. Even though main experience may be good, we will find those little cues and things that are even can be neutral. We can see neutral faces, but we will interpret it as negative just because that's what we expect. Once you realize that it's okay, it's not that bad, it drops the anxiety. But it's like a muscle, again, as you've heard probably millions of times. If you do it once and then you forget it for 10 months, you're gonna have the same amount of pain and fear. And I'm not saying that to do every day, right? It's something that takes so much of effort and you have to really celebrate it. Many people will not understand it, and that's okay. But people who are like we are, who experience life differently, in my native language, Russian, there is this phrase, I don't know how to say it in English, but we just have different ceiling. It's like, for some people, I don't know if it's actually, now I'm thinking if it's relatable. It's more about the career, but doesn't matter. For some people, going to some kind of social Christmas party, let's say, is just like a normal everyday thing, whatever. They're not gonna put too much thought to it. But I will write down it on my achievements list for the year, because this is something I would dread and I would avoid and not go for years, right? But this time I managed. It's not what actually happened, but it's, yeah, a lot of things like that actually happened, and I would write down it as an achievement because it is, because now I passed it and I know that I can do it. And why is it important is because when you're back to the spiral of I'm never gonna get better, you know that, but that time I did go, right? And it was alright. So you know, you train yourself to know that this is what it, like, it can be like that. I can. And you have to really try and do more of these things as often as possible, and they don't have to be the same. You can start smaller, obviously, which is another advice which I recommend to you. It's very useful to have this sort of notebook where you write down your experiences in a following way. You have a name or a small few words, sentences about the situation. Then you have a column of before, and then you have a column during. Not after, during. And whenever you try and put yourself in a situation that you're scared of, you write down you try to identify what emotions you feel. You don't have to write like a paragraph of everything that you think gonna go wrong, but you just write down some kind of thoughts that you hear, some kind of like programming that you hear, what comes up, and your emotions, and you have to rate them. And then the same you write during the situation, but obviously you have to first do the thing and then you come back home and you write it. It will help you to track and see before next event. You will see the reality. The column that is during, you will see how you actually felt, and you will see the numbers are not that high. Like anxiety during was probably lower. You even felt some good emotions because you engaged maybe with someone and you felt like you belong, that you're not that bad, that it's safe. And the more you will see that, you will be more encouraged to do those things. Another addition which you can do to that, which I do and that helped me, you can grade your fears and like situations or, I don't know, activities, practices that you want to do but you can't yet, by scale, by the number, which is like from least scary to the most scary. And for example, from 1 to 5. And you can start with 1, you can start with 2. And then it's just very satisfying to see this progress, this growth. You don't think about it as like, you know, something fixed, that I have social anxiety and that's it. That's my identity. You really see that you managing to do these steps, so it's very much learnable, can I say that? You can learn anything, you can learn that too, you can adapt, you can change your brain, you can change the pathways in your brain, and our brains are incredible. What you think of life, that's how life is gonna be. How you think about the universe, which angle of the universe. There was one quote that this one person said that I really liked. The universe is turning to you with that side which you see. So yeah, negative, cynical people who see life as something unfair, bad, are right, and people who are very much delusional and think that everything is aligning and believe in all those signs are also right, because that's how they experience life, and it literally becomes like that. How you see life, life is gonna give you back exactly that. Why was I going with this? Where? I can recommend a few books that really helped me. Psycho-Cybernetics. This book is about shifting your mindset and your self-image. And you know, it has a lot of wisdom. It does. It really is useful to read if you have social anxiety. Another book I would recommend is Four Agreements. It is more spiritual book, which to me, psychology and spirituality is a very connected sphere. It ties together. You know, the more you learn about the world and humans and just the universe and the insignificance of us, but also significance of us, and how everything is tied together and connected, the more you kind of feel like nothing is that serious. And it is easier said than done, but it truly changes slowly with small steps your view of the reality and yourself, and it gives you empowerment and allows you to be imperfect more. Yeah, because that's the whole point. We are learning by failing, by embracing the failure and being okay with it, and then other people see it and then they get empowered to try more and fail more too and be okay with it. We all deserve our place in this earth, on this earth, and we all have something to give. We all have something to add to other people's life. And I thought that I'm finished, but I want to add another thing, that you have to think more about this thing, that there are people who want to know you, who need your energy, who want to hear your experience, who want your attention even. We all like to be asked things. We all like to get attention. So when you're going somewhere, I know it's very easy to think about you and how you're gonna present and how people are gonna view you, but everybody's thinking the same, right? Even people who don't have social anxiety, they just have it much lower. But it's important to have this focus on how can I make another person today feel better about themselves, or just feel something positive. You have to put your focus on that, and you have to think about what can I give. Maybe I can give some kind of even just positive energy, give someone a compliment, and people will remember that, people will feel better. And that's the whole point and meaning of life, to kind of, through small things, shape other people's reality and just bring kindness, bring positivity, bring something good. It heals this fear inside of you. This is even so much more important to people with social anxiety, I think, than people who don't have it, because whenever we do something that has some kind of effect on someone else, we feel like we belong. And that's what I wanted to share today. I'm so tired of talking, but it feels great. And you are not alone. I'm here too, and I have this whole situation going on for years, and navigating life is really difficult at times, but it also makes me feel stronger. And there are so many people like that. It's weird how we can reach out to each other somehow, right? But we try to hide it so much, and we're just alone and pretend that we're okay. And nobody even needs us to pretend, but there's some kind of hidden code, and we're all in this rock, and we can all just reveal ourselves and say the truth, but we just play games for what? I don't know. Being alive and like existence is such a bizarre thing. I know you're awesome. I don't know you, but I know you're awesome. Bye.